Well, this is kind of interesting. If I were to say right now on this recording, and for the first time, and I'll first state the facts, I was the first organism. I've been here since the very beginning. We can call this just about the whole time. That I lied on my transcripts, my initial contract with the Army when I was supposed to be a draft pick by leaving out that I had done anything beforehand. I'm sure they assumed from what they requested of me that I may possibly have tried on my own to train on my own in my own space, being why. I kind of have a qualitative amount of abilities that I can just assume, and they're effective, that I would have it within my power to recognize the necessity for deployment and go out on my own. But I never mentioned it. My wife never knew. They never knew. I kind of kept it like hidden content. But now OST is a SWAT division of the military. And if you don't know what SWAT is, it's Special Weapons and Tactics. And then when you when the transgression occurs from finalizing that treatment and that SWAT training is complete, and all of this is done in a forum, like a domain, like on a platform, in a template with an interface that's controlled, and no one else has access to you. You have access up to what you're allowed to. OST is only survivor trained. That's planning for the worst. The most, possibly of all things, that you are the only thing left out there. That's what that training is for. And because I would have that permission on my own, and as well that added responsibility to do that on my own, they never questioned that, made that an issue. But that would mean that I kind of took the tail end of everything that they put me through and kind of had a whole space of my own beforehand to train in and deploy myself in the same way that things are going now. So really, there's some things that maybe no one else would have gotten exposed to but me. And no one ever knew. No one ever knew that about me. Just because we're advised we might be able to talk about this stuff now, some of the other things are coming out of, so that would mean that I would have already done a lot more than what they would have been able to offer me. Like, the way I see it, actually, they are probably the lowest agency that you can be recruited by. And I'm talking about the Environmental Protection Services Agency. The highest would be OST, DMC, and VM, which would be Devil May Cry, which means you're in a constant state of your service. And Nevermind would be at all times you're prepared to perform, and probably are, and anonymously, invisibly. And I'd say under that would have to be M. Matrix will find you. That would be the employer under. And in between them would be Reaper, R1P1, and then there's other ones like Hyrule, and I don't want to go down the list again, but like Erie, 39 PE. But those would be things that really no one else would have found out about by now, unless I kind of illustrated the point that before they had drafts and there was the recognition, I had already foresaw this being a big, we're not solving this problem, or we're still running into violence and bug abuse, and the nuclear holocaust, and may have never shown just about anyone until alone in my own quadrant. So there really are just a lot of things that not even the inhabitants would have access to. And there have been times later on where we've just proofread and like skimmed the page of that event for the sake of time, where we've rebooted, went back to square one, and I was given, because even so, when I finished what I was working on there, I was sent on my own with my own zoning to train and then deploy with all the permission slip was authority, and that's about right above them, and that's one of the higher but ups, but that would be near like deliberation and hierarchy. And those are some other forms that you should get to know by now of handling business. But they awarded me, any passages included permission slips, so I could just about train, because I was recognized, as a draft pick, but beforehand, we didn't really talk about it, but we kind of realized it. I had a lot on my own to worry about. So when I got back from Dubai, and I'll just say Kuwait. We don't call it the Gulf War and Desert Storm. We call it Kuwait and Dubai. And let me tell you, there's just about 1,700 trillion million jajillion bazillion different Kuwaits and Dubais out there. Those are just the last two. I guess Gulf would be more presentable. But what we really call it is Red Halo. Red standing for Resident Evil died willfully, as in the person living and absconding. No, I don't want to say absconding. I don't want to say AWOL, but I want to say staying outside the circle of trust, doing I don't want to see that either. But Gulf, that's a way to say it. Red Halo is better. Red Halo is the resident acting evil died. That's red. That's how we do that. And Halo is the afterword. Halo also is in the installation software of, the house grenade drops, and, Wyatt just can get up after the bomb drops. And that's just Wyatt, So it's like, that's when we're knocked out into spatial drift. That's USO. That's us off soil. Unified Century. And that's off the ground, and that's space station level. But that's how you put them together. You put together one with the other. And I wouldn't just go ahead and call it one long war, because it all gets pushed down to some pipe with some general with some dynamite, and there you go. You got Resident Evil, deceased, died willfully, dead, gone. No file exists, never. And whoever innocently, just bystanders, fuck them. And then the Halo, which is like, well, make up for it, and whatever else is out there, and that's how you can consolidate it. You can look at a red halo. You can, say that was like our side, and Gulf could be the enemy side. Like saying never ending. I mean, it engulfed us. But in the last one, which they do kind of say is like, Dubai, Bravo Delta, SEAL Team 6, Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And I look back at Kuwait, I can barely remember it, unless I refresh, but I don't really want to get into it. But we say like Auschwitz was pretty bad. That was a world at war on tour. So everywhere you toured, everywhere there was world, there was at war. And that was the Harvest Plantation. And no one really knows what that means. HARVEST PLANTATION, the acronym. But it kind of stands for itself. Instead of harnessing the trust and, blah, blah, blah. That's like a SEAL team job. I'm 30,000 strong. Alone. Plus. But I got home and I had basically reached the whole time. to the alien mind understanding. And I had been there, and I've been doing this. I really know what I'm doing. I really have the training, and I've really made preparations. And I'll tell you the truth, I really have the certification. I can really help you get out of my head. I know you're stuck in it. I know you want more than anything to breathe in the air. One thing you should know is it comes from me. If I can't trust you at that moment, it's not like looking at energy. I just know like a parent. I get territorial. I can't help it. Then you keep asking why. I keep getting neurotic. You just don't address himself, and to ask who, what, where, when, how. Like, not to get her pregnant. It's going to make a kid with half you, half her in it. And it's going to be bad for all of us to look at it because it's just not normal looking. It's like boob, goo goo gaga, oogly googly. It's not funny. I mean, that's pretty sickening if you ask me. But right at that point, I had reached overkilling until unsanctionable. So I become like a member of this overkill, and I got home and I went to the bus stop and I sat down and I waited, and then the first responder, back around this time, first responders in this area were like, Atlanta, were like coming to pick me up to bring me to an airport. Either I fly, we take the helicopter, or we literally jump on a cargo plane, but we go. And like, I was getting called a lot, like to go back and forth. And it was not really safe back home anyway. And they were worried about biohazards and they were worried about parasites, but they were coming to pick me up and bring me back and forth a lot recently in this area, like just first responders, like shit. And I had done my job and I went back because they said, look, this is bad. They've still got a lot of ammo. And they dropped me off and I sat down in a box and I said, put me on the line with him. Let me talk. And I said to him, look, I want you to bring me your grandma's cancer syringes, tourniquets. I want you to bring me your most lethal dosages of whatever concoctions of poison and bombs. I want you to bring, snipers. I want you to bring all your guns. I want you to bring all your bullets. But first of all, I want you to understand, I want you to meet me, and I want you to understand, in my cunt, you try and do this shit to us, you get me, and like, Bravo, Delta, SEAL Team 6 says, I'll be there in 15 minutes. You give me an address. Do I get to shoot at you? Shit like that. No, you're not going to fucking shoot at me when I come on the fucking front door. You're not, there's not going to be a bunch of us. I'm going to drop myself off. All right. And I'm going to take off and what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm going to put you on a screen. I'm going to let you watch me blow myself up. Oh God, this does not sound very straight, my friend. He said he wanted to blow himself up. And my guys all looked at me and I said, I'm taking a new approach here. Either you let me do this, or by the time we're done with this conversation, the iron fist comes down on your cunt try. No resources. No pebbles in the sand. No big skyscraper. Okay? What if I do not see you through a screen and I do not believe it you a CGI computer graphic internet animation? You want a fucking bullseye view of me? I don't want bullseye view. So, story in a nutshell. We as his associates, And, I take a lot of hardcore ammo. But my new approach is to let you waste just about every single natural resource you've got that's disturbing, painful, causing harm to anyone, myself, others, yourself, all of your grandma's cancer. And, it's like, I really did. Like, I put this tourniquet in my arm on video. Like, I let him watch it. I worked my way through his bosses. But you end up realizing when someone's sitting there in a chair, a square box away from you with the windows open, injecting, your family's heritage's worst diseases into his arm, and like taking whatever flu shot full of knockoff, gunpowder and neon glow stick formula that you've got, it's like every you watch someone like pull the trigger, take the detonator and like blow himself up, but he's still standing there, y'all shoot at him, and then like 7 of your guys get knocked off in the face. I told you not to shoot at me, Quarvello. But by the time I got done with all their resources, all they had left was bare ammunition. That includes an arsenal, which is worse than an artillery. And, we were faced with the fight or flight and play of, missiles being launched at our country. So, we just kind of homed in on those spots, but differently. Like, I'll be at, the very fucking tip of it when it goes off. I mean, it's scary when you see a guy. I mean, they say this to me, like, it is scary that I see this bomb go off and you're not affected. I want you to, I don't work for you. I don't want you to help. I don't want to help you. Then I'll fucking kill you. But so by the time we were done with bare, ammunition, we got down to like under the counter and what ended up going down was, some severe fucking, like, if you fucking have seen pictures online or on TV around the time when Barack Obama went for his his first term, and you've seen the nice skyscrapers, that's located in Saudi Arabia, like, it's not all fucking hut. Like your fucking movie, American Sniper. That shit depicts the life of a man who enlisted himself just to kill someone. I mean, shit, I went there just to get hurt, just to use up their shit. It was extortion. It was, what is that called? Exhibition. Exploitation. Extortion, exhibition. But I got done with all that, and there would just be times on the phone where it's like, well, then I will, and then they start getting the American accent, and it's like, so I will I will detonate it, stupid motherfucker. It's connected to my phone. You got on the fucking phone with me. Detonate it. You know it ain't gonna hurt me. Detonate it, motherfucker. Cunt. Try, cunt. Cunt, try. Cunt, try. Cunt, try. Cunt, try. And, you know, when it's down to like ammunition and it's just, it ended up like a bloodbath. I mean, at one point during the feud, the rivalry, there was like Brooke stepping on a parasite nuke, and Vic in a bodega, is in a corner store, getting butchered, and it just wasn't fucking nice to see. But this ends up like I remember what I did too. I'm taking a new approach to you. I'm not just going to try to tell you this cutscene is called It's Nice. It's quite nice to meet a nice me. It was like one of those self-destruct modes where I'm taking it out on you and I'm lawfully present. Bravo Delta SEAL Team 6. You know, it was like I was very unhappy. And when I get very unhappy, I'm not the one to look at. I'm not the one to smile at. You just don't want to be present, because I will fucking, it's like spatial geographic Armageddon. I swear to God, I bring the Armageddon. Like, I fly back at you and I fly at you. And my head, bury you, take you out of the ground, shoot you, and I never miss your skull. And I do these things that are just, you know, superheroes that don't exist, just want to stand on the sideline just to watch. And they need backup like the news cameras and the government in order to be safe, because I'm not happy at that. But I'm not going to hurt anyone innocently. But a supernova midnight twilight, I don't get happy. Like, and I ended this shit in a bloodbath. It was MAME. It was ill. And I had already overkilled until unsanctionable. And when I got home, my half-life of self, I'm sitting at that same bus stop. I'm called back again, and this time I just get in the cargo plane and jump out. I'm done. Like, when I hit the ground, you're fucked. Like, I'm slicing you all to death. I remember cutting through trees back home, like people starting to like come out of their homes like it's safe. Like, not a happy camper. Like, oh, but what happens when you kill someone is you lose half of your own self. And that's why we install halos, so that you can bite yourself with the soul of the other trapped inside the same strength of combat as the guy that killed him during Resident Evil Died Willfully Dead. Deceased. Died. No file exists. Static, scratchy screen. Missing card. Boss is innocent. Doesn't matter. They might have changed, turned. Consequences, offenses. Okay? So after all this, in the very beginning as a first organism, basically been fighting, taking my time on a 17-year assignment. Mind you, this was a 17-year assignment. But not only was it just a 17-year assignment, it was something that could have been prevented, and it was something that could have been viewed from an analyst's position. So when I lost all control of myself, I had to replace who I was, and then I was just sobbing involuntarily and like couldn't stop, and I felt the same pain. At that point in Overkill, you feel what the opponent feels. Whether you like it or not, the crying just doesn't stop. And in order for it to, at that point, you have to wave goodbye 25 feet away to the person that you are. And like saying, like, I lost, the part of me is still missing out there. It's like, honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's over. I mean, it's done. And the computer programming and the phone patching, the questionnaire, the survey for Tycoon and Chagrin from the Apache server and the internet, World Wide Web, it's all said and done. And I can't really say you have quite any reputation toward any involvement, and that's not good for you, because it's going to show in records and history, manual input, that you did nothing. And as a bystander, maybe you weren't built for that kind of life, or both lives, or hybrid, or you have some kind of alien breed Grand Theft Auto capital withholding information and fleeing the scene, or status as a fugitive, or information regarding confinement captors and polio or AIDS, like hospitals and institutions, and PRISM, PRISM, prisms, like Pink Floyd. And, and just because you haven't put any effort in terms of overturning these events, or participating in them, or doing anything about it now, that you're subjected to my subjective behavior by not changing the subject, first of all. A subjugant, meaning you're under my control. I've conquered, erased your commands, and reconfigured by entering mine. And, just based upon the fact that you're slipping off track with us unifying, so you have to go at a loss for your age total and someone else's property, who has to watch you Chikta. Questions always become more questions that turn into offenses or stem from them. Later, they become falsifications that result in sector system power and energy failures. Answers lead to journeys that lead to the consideration for a venture, from clear and understood doubtless truth in the form of facts. If actually, then each point provided is clear and understandable. Anything else is unreconcilable. And without the assembly of a civilization, a tangible structural unity establishment from the center of the universe in the object of the opinionative mindset being the culture of the colony, then the only survivor situation 2 preparation will be used, OSD, due to the manual procedure of the inhabitants forming a foundation at a permanent loss, and a black mark on the progress bar. My comment: it is suspicious for it to have existed at all. Contrary.